This is Barrie, a city constantly evolving. At any time, a whole host of pressures challenge the intricate tapestry of city government. In this series, we will explore the priorities deemed essential for progress, even if they don't always inspire unanimous applause. Join me each week for a candid conversation with a member of our city government as we uncover the stories behind the scenes of Barrie, a city on the move. Welcome to Barrie, City on the Move. I'm Arif Khan, and it's a pleasure to be joined by Mayor Alex Nuttall. Mayor Nuttall, thanks for being here, and I'm excited to get right into having a discussion of really the state of the city and where you plan to take it with your colleagues at council and the people who run operations on a day-to-day basis. So thanks for being here on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me so much today. Obviously, there's a lot going on in Barrie. We have a beautiful city, and it gets better every day, but looking forward to this conversation together.
Absolutely. There are a number of people who live in this community who have been here generationally, decades upon decades. However, one of the things that we certainly note over the last number of years, 4 or 5 years at this point, is that the city actually continues to grow at a quicker rate than maybe previously anticipated, certainly thanks in part to the pandemic of the last few years. We've got a number of new families and businesses and community members who maybe don't know your history, so I thought we'd take just a second to introduce who you really are as mayor. You're a two-time city councilor dating back to 2006 and 10 you were re-elected. And then you spent a term and change as a member of Parliament representing Barrie, Springwater, Ormondonte starting in 2015. And you've since been elected to Barrie City Council as the mayor in 2022, October of 2022.
October of 2022.
So this show is focused and is designed to be focused on the inner workings, but also the pressures that the city endures that can be internal or external. And I just think that it's interesting that the people of the city of Barrie represented you as mayor with your background, with the wealth and so really the scope of your background. Maybe tell us why you really are the right person to be leading this transformation as we go forward.
Well, I kind of feel that growth has been coming for a long time. When I grew up here in the city of Barrie, we moved here, there was 48,000 people, 1989, and the growth that took place over the 90s and 2000s was very quick. There was a ton of new homes built. There was a city that was expanding really in all directions at that point at a very high rate of speed. What I don't think the city of Barrie has done well in that time period between, let's say, the late 80s and today is to plan out who we want to be. Like, what type of city do we want to be? What is it that our constituents, our residents, our shareholders can expect from the city of Barrie between today and a decade from now or 2 decades from now? And do we want to react to the growth that's coming, or do we want to define it for ourselves? Do we want to be on a determined path where we create that hope and opportunity and local wealth for folks, or are we just going to let lives come here and grow as they see fit? So for me, I think that is really important, that the city gets it right going forward. There's many things that we've done incredibly well. There's many things we could improve on, but defining who we are and how we're going to grow and how we're going to integrate the folks who are moving here from somewhere else into our community so that we still maintain that small town feeling, but we have all of those big city amenities available.
I suppose if people are making a choice to move here and they're doing their homework and their research, it would be helpful for them to know what to expect and to decide whether or not this is going to be the place they move to or not.
Absolutely. It's important that we are communicating it all the time. There's when you think about what would you want the city of Barrie to be, if you could really say, okay, here's the whiteboard of today, and now we're going down a decade down the road. What is it that you want to see that we don't have? What is it that you want to see continue? What do we value that's just amazing about the city of Barrie? Because there's so much that is incredible to build on. But we also do have those blind spots. And so let's find them, define them, and then implement a plan that's going to take us to a point where you can be born here, you know, your family sets up and you're born here. You can get a great education here as a child. You can get educated here with post-secondary, whether that's at Georgian College or university programming. You can find an excellent job here. You can retire here and enjoy the beautiful lifestyle that exists with, you know, our front yard is a lake. Our backyard are the hills. Like, there's no better place to be than right here in Barrie, Ontario.
So you mentioned the word define more than once.
Yeah.
And obviously that's clearly important to you. Let's go back to the election actually just for a moment. There were a number of people vying for the position, putting their business case forward. It really came down to two. And I think it was quite clear, from my perspective, I'm going to be biased here, my perspective, there was a decision to make, clearly stated by the other candidate who really came out as one of the front runners. And the decision came down to more of the same or change.
Yes. I'm always going to be somebody that works my bones off to make sure that the job I'm doing, we're successful. The idea that more of the same was going to get us where we need to go is one that I believe has already been proven wrong. The right path is to define who we are as a city going forth. That could be on the conversation of housing. It could be on the conversation of job creation and employment, making sure folks here in the city of Barrie actually have the opportunity to find success here in the city of Barrie. It could be the prisoner release program, saying enough's enough. We've had 20 some odd years of folks being dropped off on the side of the road in a city they don't know when they're leaving the Penetang jail, and that place was at the transit terminal here in the city of Barrie. We need to chart a different path for that, for those individuals who are being released, but also for the residents of the city of Barrie, for our downtown businesses, for the many cultural events that happen in downtown and the walks that happen downtown. And it could also be just talking about recreation as a whole. How long are we going to go without having a South End recreation center built in the southeast corner? You mentioned I was elected in 2006. In 2007, we got approval for a rec center to be built in southeast Barrie. Guess where it is?
Tell me.
Nowhere. It's not built. We don't own land for it. It was, you know, words on a piece of paper. And, you know, the city that we all expect and love is the one that we get to enjoy with our families, whether that's with our infant children or, in my case, I have both children as well as my mother. We want all of those services available, and we want to do it in a way that doesn't result in massive tax increases and making life more unaffordable. So those are the things I think that we need to tackle over the next decade to make sure that 25 years from now, everything is set and in place, that we can enjoy the city, that it's a safe place to live, that we can have a job, that we can afford housing, that we can get educated, and we can retire and just enjoy the environment around us.
So we're going to be here for a while, and I think we're going to break that down into a number of episodes. And I'm grateful for the fact that you've given us access both to yourself, but also to the city's given us access to a number of the director level and management level people who are sort of leading operations. But you've now used the word define a few times. You also used the word tackle. Here's the thing that comes to mind as I'm listening to you. Change isn't easy. Mm-hmm. And the other word actually that was just floating around the back of my mind is the word apathy. You talked about the prisoner release program that's been going on until now for decades. And the storyline or the line that residents learn to accept is that's the way it is. Mm-hmm. And that Barrie is a city, and it's often been referred to as sort of the capital region or the major city in a larger region that has the resources, that has the social services, that has the other levels of government with their offices set up, that Barrie was chosen to be the place that managed these activities. And you've decided to change that. You've decided that the status quo doesn't have to be.
A passive approach means you're giving up the decision making to other levels of government or to non-government organizations. Maybe it's business, maybe it's services available in the community. But I don't think that that's the position that the City of Barrie, our residents, our shareholders want us to take. The idea that there's others who are saying what type of downtown we'll have because this is where we're dropping folks. And by the way, we're not going to offer them any services to get help, is just not the community that I would want to have my children playing in. You know, it needs to be both a place where you can come and reintegrate into society after serving your sentence, that you have the supports to be able to do so, and at the same time, you're not left there on the side of the road at the mercy of drug dealing or any other type of nefarious activity. I think as I were to look forward when I was running for election for mayor, I really tried to say where do we want to be. I was reading this Winston Churchill book, and he really says, you know, what's the difference between British governments back in his time in the 40s and the Roman governments that were really expanding out. And he said it was very simple. They made decisions based on 100 to 500 years, and he was making decisions based on 1 to 5 years. And so I don't think we can make 300-year decisions. So we don't live in that type of society anymore. But I think we can make 25-year decisions. So where are the jobs going to be of tomorrow? Where are the jobs going to be of today? We have 40,000 people commuting down the highway. Well, I said, you know what? We need to add some land here in the City of Barrie. We don't have enough serviced industrial land. And industrial land doesn't mean, you know, pits and that type of stuff anymore for the City of Barrie. What it means is places that we can put a data center. Kindrel a few weeks ago just chose Barrie as their home to provide online security for all of North America, including government agencies. It means automotive and batteries. You know, we need to have somewhere to put them. So what does that look like? For me, during the election, it was, I'm going to define this. We're going to add land in the north end of the City of Barrie, and we're going to make sure that it's serviced because we have the services available there, and we're going to make sure that when the province or the federal government says we need somewhere to put this large-scale business that's going to have a generational demand, but a generational provision for jobs and opportunity, that we have that place. And so we've defined that. We went to the public and defined it and said, this is what it's going to look like. When we talked about downtown, we defined it. We need a downtown that doesn't have this prisoner release program coming here every single day, and now we're measuring the results against it. The same can be said for any of these issues.
I think it's a perfect spot to take a quick pause, and when we come back, I'm going to ask you actually a very poignant question, and actually, you know what? I'll give you a moment to think about it. I'll ask you now, and when we come back, we'll talk about it. Who do you serve?
Yeah, absolutely.
Think on that for a second. So stay with us, and we'll be right back after this break with more from Mayor Alex Nettle. Welcome back to Barrie City on the Move. Mayor Alex Nettle, glad you're here. Having a great conversation, and I left you with a thought. I left you with a question. We'll go right into it. Who do you serve?
I serve the people of Barrie, and you know, there's oftentimes differing interests amongst the population, the community. My goal is always to take the special interests, put them to the side, hear what they have to say, but put them to the side, and then look at the community as a whole, determine what the need is, and do what's best for the people I serve, which is the average person in the City of Barrie. When you think about the City of Barrie and who lives here and what their life is like, you know, when you have 40,000 vehicles leaving Barrie each day, those folks are going to have a tough time getting engaged in local municipal governments or processes that surround municipal government. And so it really creates a situation where we have to go out and understand who those people are, what they're looking for in terms of their lifestyle, and how do we help them achieve it? Because too many of our folks are leaving town to work and can't really partake. So it's really important for me that when I'm looking at about who I serve, it's not just the loud individuals, and getting loud is a good thing. It's part of our democratic process. We need to make sure that those who are not engaged in the process are considered as well. And when you're thinking about that, we also have to look at who isn't here to engage in the process. You know, one of the beautiful things about the last few weeks as a council we've been discussing the waterfront and planting trees and the moving of the Sea Cadets to the South Shore and the parading ground and sports field. And it was such a beautiful display of democracy, seeing so many folks from the community surrounding, as well as so many young people coming out. And it was a beautiful opportunity to see the, thought pattern for those right beside it, and the thought pattern for those who are young people in the community. And the reality is, as mayor, I serve as mayor. I'm not the mayor. I serve as mayor. And when I serve as mayor, I represent all of those folks, whether they are the folks who live beside it or the children who are looking for an opportunity either to be part of the parading and the Sea Cadets or to be just playing on a field. And so it's very unique in this job because everybody is part of the market. You're not trying to go after one group or another. We're trying to make sure that we do something that's cohesive in the community and that represents everyone's interests, whether they are retired, they're working hard, or they're in high school or elementary school.
No decision you make is ever going to please everyone.
No.
And when I say you, it's you and council, actually. Yeah. And I think that maybe just for a brief moment, a quick insight from you on the power of the mayor, the role of the mayor, and your council colleagues. Maybe you can just give us 30 seconds of 101.
Yeah, the way I view it, and obviously every municipality is different. For me, I view it that the mayor is the chair of the board of directors, and every member of council is a member of that board of directors. The difference between the mayor and everyone else is that the mayor also serves as the chief executive officer for the corporation of the City of Barrie. And so while council is a board overseeing, the mayor actually bridges the world between council and the public service. And so it is a different role. It is a unique role where you can work as much as you want because there's that many things that need to be worked on, defined, tackled, the words we've used already. And it's a wonderful one because when you get things right, you're able to see them. You're able to see them take place, to be molded, and the outcomes in a very real way.
Mm-hmm. You've been challenged a few times, though, in your short tenure so far. It's actually a longer career of service, but in your shorter tenure. Here's the thing that comes to mind, though. You mentioned the louder voices and the beauty of democracy. There's also the really loud voice of the silent majority. And they may not be the ones who are getting screen time or the ones that are holding up a sign or making themselves seen, but the very absence of their presence tells you what?
Well, number one, it tells me that they're working hard. We have folks who, when you think about a work week, let's call it 40 hours, right? Just as an average. If you add going to the city of Toronto 5 days a week, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night, that 40 hours very quickly becomes 60 hours. That's 60 hours without a lunch or a dinner with family, with no breakfast, with out watching a TV show or walking the dog. And for me, I look at that voice that we maybe don't hear physically in person is the loudest voice for the City of Barrie, because those are the people they're paying taxes, They're paying for their schools to be, getting a new playground through the fundraising projects. They're just working day in and day out. They maybe don't have the time to volunteer in some of the different local organizations, but they're volunteering in their own way by paying their taxes and ensuring that they're contributing members of the community. So it is a very loud voice. There's no question.
So momentum is something that is a very powerful force, and what I'm hearing from you is you've actually decided to steer that momentum, maybe divert the river, or the flow or the stream of that momentum. People, residents, if they have the opportunity to choose where they live, then they typically are voting with their dollars. They're voting with where they choose to call home.
Yeah.
Similarly, though, businesses do, and business also influences the workforce that they attract. Businesses have the opportunity and the choice to vote with their dollars and where they lay their roots in any city across North America, or the world for that matter. The world has changed. Technology has allowed corporations to evolve their thinking on where they're going to lay roots. Why the city of Barrie, and what are you contending with when you look at the competitor municipalities and regions across the country? How are you making Barrie the place to live, or the place to set down roots as a corporation?
Well, Arif, that's a great question. First of all, we aren't going to find businesses for business' sake. Businesses aren't going to create the services we need in this city over the next 25 years. They're going to provide jobs for individuals who will define the city. And that is a key difference. It can't just be about attracting businesses here or attracting our local businesses to reinvest or to maybe move some of their services from elsewhere here. It's all about the jobs on the back end for individuals, so that those individuals can work hard, they can have that hope of a better life, and they can find that opportunity. They can really find that opportunity, because we know the right employment does that for individuals. So when I'm talking to businesses and we're trying to attract businesses here, the number one for me is how many jobs, how many people's lives are going to get changed by having access to jobs here in the city of Barrie, so they can be home for that dinner, they can be home for that breakfast, so that they can get their kids off to school and be at their soccer practice or whatever it is, lacrosse or something like that after school. When we have the city of Barrie positioned the way it is today, I want you to think about this. Where else would you want to be if you were a business? You've got the GTA, Toronto. You go east and west, it doesn't really matter how far you go east or west now. It feels like you're a millennia away, because it takes so long to move people and goods. That's why everyone's looking north. And now, as you're leaving north, you're going up the 400, or leaving the city and going up 400, and you get to this place called Barrie that has a 400 series highway, a highway going out of here to the northwest, a highway going out of here to the northeast in Highway 411. We have a GO train, right? And we have tracks that can help move goods throughout the continent, right? And probably around the world through ports. And I look at that and go, if I'm a business and I have goods to move, not just services to provide, Barrie is an excellent place to invest, because we've managed to hold on to our rail infrastructure. There's an airport, 6.5 miles outside of our border, hopefully soon 5.5 miles. And it's a really important thing to be able to move those goods around. At the same time, we've got water services and wastewater services. Nobody likes to talk about how important it is to have a place to flush the toilet that's not just into the ground, right? It is so important for business. It's important for our environment, right? And it's important that as we look forward, that we protect those services and that we tell the right businesses about it. Because when they realize that we have the land after annexation, the way to move goods in and out of our area, the people through Georgian College, and a growing city with all of the services, there's nowhere else I'd want to be.
So there's something profound happening right now. As I see it, my background in finance and mortgages, et cetera, I study the numbers, I study real estate, I study the economy, et cetera, the influences that are happening. Mm-hmm. Something really interesting happened a few years ago when we entered into the era known as the pandemic and COVID and things like that. And respectfully, we all know how families were impacted personally, individually, as well as on a broader scale, not only from the illness, but also sort of the fallout as how we responded to it, et cetera. Put that aside just for a moment, if you will. The other phenomenon that's happening right now is the push to get people back into the office place. And I'm not so sure, I'm willing to bet that it's actually something a little bit different than what it appears to be on the headlines. And that is the economic impact of the phenomenon of technology that allowed people to get away from the office. We're seeing downtown Toronto with vacancies in the corporate buildings of greater than 50%. Those $500 million buildings are now worth less than $250 million because their valuation comes from occupancy, net operating income, rent, et cetera. You've got a background yourself in finance as well. We've got 1 minute. Help redefine what the city looks like from a corporate investment perspective, given what we know. It's not necessarily about getting people back to the office for the office sake, it's for the economics of it.
Look, I think the future of the city of Barrie is to do what we do best, to know what we do best, and to really focus on that. I think that the city of Barrie has a great opportunity to be a manufacturing hub, not the old, dirty manufacturing of the past, but the future. We need to make sure that we can educate folks to fit into those jobs. That is a real focus for us. It's a provincial mandate, but a focus for us. And I think that as we look forward, we need to make sure we have those manufacturing facilities being built right here. Don't let it go anywhere else.
Excellent. With that in mind, Alex Nuttall, Mayor, City of Barrie, thanks for your time. We're going to see much more of you throughout the series going forward. Really appreciate laying down sort of the idea, the agenda, and we'll see you next time on Barrie, City on the Move.